Welcome to Fan for Racing Radio. I am Fan for Racing Sharon, and we also have Jay Huseman with us for today. And we are here for the in-season challenge fantasy preview round 2. So we've got to talk first of all about how busted our brackets are.
Yeah, right. When Sharon and I were talking about doing this one, I was like, what are we going to talk about? How badly we did in round 1? I mean, no, I think of it just like any race, one race. If you have the opinion it was a bad race because your favorite driver didn't win or run good, yeah, you might have that opinion. Is some of the intrigue gone? Yeah, I didn't have a shot at the million no more. Okay. But I think it's still very interesting, and I'm excited by it, especially some of the matchups we now have that we didn't think we were going to, depending on how we picked the bracket. So I'm still excited about it. Maybe just a touchdown from what I was.
Well, and I get bragging rights this week because out of the matchups, 6 of mine actually survived.
See, they say statistics is all about how you present it. The fact that you only have 6 out of 16, we're not going to talk about that. The fact that you have 6 and I only have 5, well, that makes you look good. Yeah, way to twist it.
Well, I felt pretty good about having 6, to be honest.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if that was Larry McReynolds I heard that was talking about it. Yeah, they said they only had 1 on the left side and 3 maybe on the right side, that they were at 4 or 5 like the rest of us. So I do too, because I got Nemechek and Elliott. I have one whole matchup correct because Nemechek and Elliott is what I had projected.
Yeah, which ones did I get right? I got Elliott right. I had 2 on this side. Oh, and Keselowski. Elliott and Keselowski. And on the other
I got
side,
those 2.
I got 4 right. I got Priest. I got
that one I didn't have.
Allmendinger, Gibbs,
That one I didn't
and
have.
Busher.
Yeah, Gibbs and Busher. And those were the 4. Keselowski. And remember, I did switch Keselowski at the end and was considering going back to Kyle Busch, but I didn't. So that one kind of saved me. But yeah, the way it sounded, Gibbs, Busher, Keselowski, and Elliott are pretty much 4 that a lot of people had. Again, you might have had Kyle Busch instead of Keselowski. But other than that, then it was whether or not you did pick one of the 14 other upsets, if you will.
Well, I did pick Allmendinger. I think you picked McDowell on that one.
And that one, again, I would not call that one an upset by any means. That was kind of one of those coin tosses. I will say this, Larry McReynolds kind of looks good right now because remember, he picked Hocevar as an upset over Ryan Blaney. Maybe not in the fashion it happened, but he did come out ahead with that one. So he's one up on us there.
And the other one that was different, I think Taz and I both picked Allmendinger and you picked McDowell. On the other one, you guys both picked Byron, but I picked Priest. I think that was what made the difference.
And then I made up one because I had Nemechek. You guys both had Berry moving on, Josh Berry, whereas I had Nemechek.
Oh, okay, so that's where you picked it up. Okay, so yeah.
Or at least gained 1 back on you.
So really, really interesting. Well, this is how the bracket looks now, full page bracket. But we are going to look at this kind of half page at a time so that it'll be easier for us as we're talking about each of the brackets. So first side has the Ty Dillon versus Brad Keselowski, Bowman versus Wallace, and Nemechek versus Elliott, as well as Jones versus Stenhouse. So we'll start with those. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show the matchups head to head on this screen so that people can look at that. Plus, I'm going to tell you, I'm looking at the box score stats as well. And I think you've got, this gives us the last 5 races. So I can compare most recent stats to what the stats are at Chicagoland Speed or at the Chicago street course.
Right. And I'd say based off of what I got here that I'm looking at off of NASCAR.com is that first category up there, because it shows the 10 versus the overall. And then this season, 10 to 8, this track and similar tracks. So again, there's still plenty of information, and I was joking with Sharon of she had all this, and I was like, why are you doing the statistics now after we busted our brackets?
Well, I did, but you just didn't see it last time. I didn't tell you last time.
Gotcha. Diving into this one, and unfortunately, we said it the same thing when Ty Dillon went head to head with Denny Hamlin. Again, he is the 32nd seed. He was last in the seeding. He's down there in the point standings. However, he did survive there at Atlanta and moved on. So looking at it again, it almost looks like an absolute no-brainer. However, you got to look at least the momentum, the pick-me-up from that of Ty Dillon's team there with Colleague Racing may have a little bit of a momentum. I think it still obviously heavily favors Brad Keselowski. And you see that on this track, it's a 1-0 in favor of Brad and 12-2 on similar styles. And that would be coming to other road courses. So, you still, if you're using your head, doing the math, yeah, it's still got to be Brad Keselowski. However, we know that Chicago street course, anything can happen. And we've seen what's happened already. So,
and I can't say that the stats on either one of these drivers is very good. Let's see. If I look at where Ty Dillon ranks, out of all the drivers, he's second to last. When I look at where Brad Keselowski ranks, he's not second to last, but he's 10 from the bottom. So his driver rating comes in at 55.6 compared to Ty Dillon's 37.0. So neither one of them have good stats here, but I have to favor, based on both of these analysis, I'd have to favor Keselowski over Dillon.
Well, and overall, when I did make the switch to Brad Keselowski, I actually had him going through this round as well as then going head-to-head with Suarez at Sonoma. That's where I had given the edge to Suarez. Now, Daniel Suarez is already out, so we'll talk about that, who I show as the next matchup. But once I did switch over to him, he is a very solid road course racer. I know street course racing, a little bit different when it comes to that. But I also look at right now, especially through the seeding rounds in the last month, RFK as a whole, Brad Keselowski specifically, just been in the top 10, So I really do think this one is, call it a no-brainer. However, Ty Dillon did it once. He could do it again. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Okay, let's move on to our next matchup here, which is Bowman versus Wallace. Again, the stats here are a little bit closer, but still looking at that, it looks like Bowman has the advantage. And I'm going to say the same thing is true on the box scores. I'm trying to find Wallace here. Yeah, Wallace is well down the list. Bowman is at the top. His average, his driver rating comes in at about 83.6 compared to Wallace's. Wallace's comes in at 60.9. So just to give you some stats there. So I'd have to go with Bowman on this.
This one, strictly of overall on season and whatnot, I would have gone with Bubba Wallace. And I'll come back to my point with that in a minute. But being a road course, I think it favors Bowman a little bit. And I would say last year's victory gives him that final edge. However, we talked about this on the preview show. The year before, Alex Bowman was dead last. So again, steady down the middle is going to do good for you rather than this up and down. You can't have an up and down set of weeks during a bracket tournament like this. So that kind of falls into Bubba Wallace's favor. But if, as I've redone my bracket, again, there's some scribbling and lines slashed through, I would now advance Bowman over Wallace. However, go back to, and if you go with this, I got 4 for 4. I said before the tournament, the seedings were all announced, consistent drivers, and I named Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, and Ryan Preece as the four that I said are just steady week in and week out. So those four have advanced. I did not write them down as such and take them in the picks, unfortunately, for that. But that's, I think, going to play into their favor as we get further into this. I should have stuck by my guns initially, but
as well as the overall statistics for that track, I'd have to go with Bowman.
Well, and that's where you go down to mindset. It shows the similar tracks, and I'm trying to look up there where that one is on your list. I don't know if I see it on there.
Well,
but
road
that
courses.
One,
it says road courses.
Okay, 13-5.
Yeah, 13-5. The last 5 races, 3-2.
Okay, so yeah, it does lean towards Bowman, and like I said, just overall the road course. Like I said, Bubba Wallace with his consistency, and we've seen it this year. Alex Bowman has been hot and then not, and on track again to be good. So we'll see if that stays in his favor.
And the fact that he does have a win there last year kind of bodes in his favor, I think.
Right, well. Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to our next head-to-head. This is Nemechek versus Elliott, and this is kind of a no-brainer, I think.
Right, and my original bracket, I had Chase Elliott going all the way to the finals head-to-head with Ryan Blaney. That's my one hope that's still alive. And when you compare road course racing, Joe Nemechek has a very solid overall road course record. Maybe not as much in Cup, but again, that slight, I'll call it hope, Legacy Motor Club as of late has been performing really well, knocking out top 10s. Is that enough when it comes to Chase Elliott? We talked about it in the preview show, though. We may not see Elliott winning, but he is still second and third when it comes to finishes and ranking as far as road course racer in the next gen car. So again, 95% Elliott and maybe 5 to 10 for Nemechek. It would be a huge upset. And
it would be.
Like I said, Elliott being my one lone guy I have going all the way to the finals would save some semblance of bragging rights in the bracket that I could hold on to. Would be a huge upset, but we'll have to see. Barring a situation, I think we see Elliott advance here.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Elliott's driver rating comes in at 80.4, whereas Nemechek comes in at 73.9. Average finish 35.0 for Nemechek. And when I look at Elliott, his average finish comes in at around 12. So yeah, it's I got to go with Elliott here. There's just no two ways about it. So far we've been 2 for 2.
Oh, on our, yeah, okay.
We're pretty much in agreement. Okay, our next head-to-head is Eric Jones versus Ricky Stenhouse. Now, this one I had a little more of a challenge when I looked at it. Neither one of them have very good stats when it comes to the box scores. Eric Jones comes in at average finish of 22.5 and a box score of 49.3. When I look at Ricky Stenhouse Jr., his is just slightly better. His average finish, box score is 58.0. His average finish comes in at 20th. So, and I look here at the stats here, it's kind of a mix. I think this could go either way. I really think this could go either way. Both of them have had some good runs more recently. Let me look at road courses in general. If you look at road courses in general, though, you got to give Stenhouse the advantage here. What are your thoughts?
So that's who you're moving on is Stenhouse?
I don't know. I'm not going to commit yet.
Well, I can't say.
Based on this, I would give Stenhouse the advantage.
And everything you said is true. The similar tracks, talking about road courses, 11 to 8. I I just, when I think of road courses, I feel like I have more confidence in Eric Jones than I have in Ricky Stenhouse Jr. This one is pretty much a draw all the way around.
It really is.
The one thing that I used as far as that final edge is momentum, and that goes back to Legacy Motor Club. So I put Eric Jones in on this one after I had to scratch out everything else I had because I didn't have either of these drivers right to begin with. But out of this new pairing, I put Eric Jones, and it really did come down to just right now Legacy Motor Club having that momentum.
The last 5 races, though, it's pretty close. 2-3. He could match it up this week. Oh, just for the heck of it, I'll take Stenhouse. We haven't had a disagreement yet. So JH is taking Jones, and SB is taking Stenhouse on this one. It is a close matchup, but Stenhouse has a better average finish at Chicagoland, and he's got the better box score. So that's part of what I'm taking into consideration as well.
All right, now that covers the left side of the bracket. Again, there's only 4 matchups now. That's 8 of the drivers we've covered already. Yep.
This is the right side of the bracket. So now we're going to go to those head-to-heads. And I have those here. We'll go to the next one, which is Gregson versus Priest. I think you got a pretty good idea of where I'm going to go on this one.
Yeah, and this is one where, unfortunately, again, I went with the statistics and the probability, the season they've had so far, but it was not with my heart. Noah Gragson, one of my favorite drivers. This is one I hope maybe is an upset, but in pen, I wrote it down of Ryan Priest. Noah Gragson this year and they were talking about it. I told you I was listening on Sirius XM as they had a show on it tonight. I can't remember the term they used, but he left his permanent mark on the barricades that were set up around the Chicago street course last year, having hit them, I believe, 3 times. So, yeah, that didn't give me a whole lot of confidence to even have my heart behind him, but got to give it to Ryan Priest. We talked about Roush Fenway Keselowski on a top 10 streak as an organization right now. And Ryan Priest, as I mentioned, even before the tournament started, I said a solid week in and week out, consistent driver. This kind of tournament gives him that. And I think we see him move on.
Well, I thought I knew who I was going to pick too. But when I look at the stats here, I'm not as certain as I was. Noah Gragson has a driver rating at 46.7. Not a great driver rating for the Chicago street race. When I look at Ryan Priest, he looks good. He's got a driver rating of 56.3, which is about 10 points higher. But when I look at average finish in the 2 races that have happened at Chicagoland, the average finish for Ryan Priest comes in at 24.5. The average finish for Gragson comes in at 19.5.
Huh. I wouldn't have realized that. And I was looking.
That might influence me on this particular case.
Yeah, Priest being 34th last year, but there too, and not that I'm trying to get you to agree with me on Ryan Priest, but last year being the organization switched to Toyota, I think they were really just struggling with the Toyota manufacturer changeover. So, and you think about the history that Priest would have on road courses in the modifieds and other series. Again, as much as it breaks my heart, again, this is one I would be happy to see what I call the upset and Noah Gragson advance. And again, Gragson started the whole tournament ranked as the 31 seed. There's a reason for that. There is a reason for that. And Ryan Priest was 15th.
Yeah, this one's a tough one to pick. When I look at track specific, the only thing that Gragson comes up higher on is the average finish. Yeah,
that was Gragson was in the Chevrolet last in 2023. I don't know if that makes it. Yeah, if that makes a difference to you.
He's actually got a little bit better average Average start at 25.5 for Gregson. For Priest, it's at 28.5. Mid-race, Priest runs around 22nd, whereas Gregson runs around 30th. Then we look at average finish, and that's where Priest comes in at 24.5 and Gregson at 19.5. The average position for Gregson is 27.1. For Priest, it's 22.3. So during the race, I think Priest has the advantage, but that finish is where it all counts. Just for the heck of it, I'll go with Gregson on this one.
Wow, gonna bail on Priest.
Yeah, my heart says Priest, but I think I'm going to go with Gregson. So another diversion here.
I was going to say, my heart was with Gregson, but I went Priest. I think your heart was you just wanted to disagree with me.
Maybe. I just wanted to make it interesting.
Right.
Okay, now our next head-to-head, we're going to go Hocevar and Reddick. Now this one, I think is pretty clear because especially when you look at the stats. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, and this one too, and I think this is one I heard him discussing of what they called a no-brainer, and Brad Gilly was like, I don't think you can call it a no-brainer. Stats-wise, may lean towards Tyler Reddick, especially when you talk about road course racing. Absolutely. But, I mean, we've seen what Spire Motorsports is doing as of late, especially Carson Hocevar. That aggression may work in his favor, and it may bite him in the butt. He might be in the barricades where Gregson was.
Is the proverbial bracket buster.
Right. And that's true. I mean, because again, Larry McReynolds had him picked to bust it up from the beginning. So, no, this one I did kind of do as a no-brainer. I like Hocevar, and I think he's going to be a top driver throughout the years to come. But when it comes to a street course or a road course, again, money on the line or not, I just got to go with Tyler Reddick. And they have picked up a little bit of momentum as well. Factor in hometown favorite because that is 23-11 with Michael Jordan in the city of Chicago.
Okay, so you're going with Reddick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you here. I look at Hocevar, he's got an average finish of 24.0 at Chicagoland, or at Chicago Street Course, and a 71.0 driver rating. Compare that with Tyler Reddick, who has 15.0 average finish, but 104.5 driver rating. So his driver rating is third best. So, and I just think Tyler Reddick might have this one, although this has not been, and I look at the road courses here, he's got 4 out of 5 in the last 5 races and 2 out of 0 for the season. So, yeah, I think we got to go with Reddick on this one.
The next one is going to be, I think, the toughest one you're going to have to make a pick on.
Yes.
Not just a draw of who's the worst of the worst, it's the best of the best.
Yeah, I think I have a clear picture of who I'm going to go with.
Well, now to start with, I had Ty Gibbs on my original bracket, so that part of it is the same. And I had him edging out Michael McDowell. AJ Allmendinger, again, that McDowell-Allmendinger matchup was this way, both then getting into these road courses. But we know Ty Gibbs is no slouch either. I believe he's got a second place finish here at the Chicago Street Race. Third in 2024, 9th in 2023. AJ, I love him, and he was the king. I don't know that he is anymore. We just haven't seen it out of college racing with his team. SVG's on point. But we haven't seen it even on the road courses out of Allmendinger as of late. So I stuck with Gibbs on this one.
Yeah, Gibbs is my pick as well, especially when I look at their stats here at Chicagoland. Gibbs has an average finish of 6.0, which, by the way, is the highest average finish. The only other person who has a 6.0 average finish, well, I'm not going to tell you yet. well, he's not in it anymore, is McDowell. McDowell has a 6.0 average finish too. Those two are the highest. And his driver rating is the highest of all the drivers at 112. So I think we got to give it to Gibbs. He runs well during the race. Average start 7.0, average mid race 4.0, average finish 6.0, average position 6.5. He's led laps 13% of the laps. When I look at Allmendinger has a 27.5 average finish at Chicagoland. His driver rating is 75.8. And the other thing that I think we got to look at is the Chicago street course stat right down here, 2-0.
Yep.
For the Chicago street race. So if you look at some of these others that we've looked at before, well, there's a 1-0, but most of them have been 1-1. Or
1-1 or 1-1 or 1-0.
But this one is clearly 2-0. So yeah, that tells me I got to go with Gibbs on this one. He's got too many good stats there.
Even that first year, Allmendinger qualified 10th, Ty Gibbs 12th, but Gibbs finished 9th and Allmendinger finished 17th. Year number 2, Allmendinger qualified 37th and finished 38th. And that's where I said he just didn't seem to, and that was his year off from full-time Cup, and he came back this year, just seems to have lost a little bit when it comes to the Cup side.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, our next matchup, and I believe, is this our last one? Yeah, this is our last one. And this is kind of an interesting one when you look at these stats. Is it my turn to go first?
I believe it is.
Okay, here's Zane Smith. Zane Smith has average finishing position of 17.0. His driver rating is 60 flat. If I look at Buscher has average finish at 15.0. Smith's average finish is 17.0, so just 2 positions difference. But Buscher has the advantage. But Buscher also has the advantage of the driver rating. He comes in at 80.1. Mid-race, Zane Smith runs at a 4.0 mid-race, but his finish is just not there. When I look at it's 2 points back. Smith has the advantage overall at the street course race, though. So that's going to be interesting. Last 5 races. For road courses, you definitely have Buscher with the advantage. I got to go with Buscher on this.
I do as well. And the conversation I referenced from SiriusXM, this was the matchup that they said the first one. I don't remember who the 2 that were discussing it. I believe Brad Gilly is one of them. But that question, even calling it a no-brainer, they said that secondary bracket buster. Again, most people have already been busted once. But that Zane Smith really could the rest of the way as well. I just don't see it. I really don't. Chris Buscher, again, road course racing, we know he's listed as the top best average. Yeah, when you come to the Chicago street course, again, we only have 2 to compare. So one bad situation can really skew those numbers. In 2023, he started 15th and finished 10th. Year number 2 was not as good. Where did I find him? Qualified 16th and average, finished 20th. But that's where I said it's pretty much straight down the middle and consistent. Zane Smith in his rookie year did start 30th, but moved up to 17th. So didn't beat him by all that much. And again, this is where right now RFK, Keselowski, Roush Fenway, Keselowski Racing, I just think the momentum they got, the role they're on, Chris Buscher being the road course racer he is, I give this one like a 2% maybe of Zane Smith that he gets that advantage over him.
High chance because he does have that better finish at Chicago, the street course. So, and it could be that he's better on the street course than he is on the road courses, where Busher has the advantage on road courses in general when you look at the last 5 races and since 2022. And I think Busher has more races when you look at the last 5 races or since 2022 too.
Yes, because again, this is Zane Smith's second year. Last year was his rookie year. Why there's only one matchup, and I say he only beat him by 3 positions. And I'm trying to remember if that's why of not having, and I don't have the memory of that specific race, but sometimes, in the last lap, people get shuffled back a little bit as somebody in front of them gets aggressive and they just don't want to pile up and wreck the car, and they'll lose a couple of spots. That could have easily happened. Again, we're talking 3 positions on the track. So, yeah, I still think, and again, I had Busher all the way into the next round on my original one. So I'm going to stick with him.
Okay. You and I agreed 6 on 6 of them, and I'll give our agreements first. We both agreed that Keselowski is going to win over Ty Dillon. We both agreed Bowman over Wallace. We both agreed Elliott over Nemechek. We agreed on Reddick over Hocevar and Gibbs over Allmendinger and Busher over Smith. Our disagreements, you took Jones over Stenhouse, where I took Stenhouse over Jones. And you took Preece over Gregson, and I took Gregson over Preece. And again, I'm probably going to regret doing that in some of these cases, but we're going to go for it. We got to have a couple of disagreements anyway, right?
Well, and that's why I said of Gregson would be the one I would like to see be that overall upset. I think here when it comes to the road courses, Chicago street course here, and then the Sonoma Raceway, a driver like AJ Allmendinger, if he can be back to where he used to be. He's got a tough matchup this weekend with Ty Gibbs. The way I have it, it's going to be Gibbs and Chris Busher at Sonoma, which again, now you got 2 good road course racers that I had to make a choice between, but we'll talk about that next week. And it'll be interesting to see. I kind of got a penciled in parentheses of the new picks. And I'll have to do that again and see how many I had solid all the way through the whole bracket, and then how many are the second round. And if I have to now listen to this next week, I might have a third name on the list of, well, I've been wrong 3 times. Eventually I'll get one right because we'll run out of names.
Well, that's true. I think the closest one statistics wise was Jones and Stenhouse. Would you agree with that?
That was a tough one. Like I said, to me, AJ Allmendinger Gibbs statistically may not match up. I think that was the hardest one to pick as far as just knowing both of them. The straight up statistics between Busher and Jones, I do think were the closest.
And Gregson and Preece, I just give Gregson the advantage because of his street course stats there. So, okay. So what do you think?
Again, I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see. I'm going to kick myself in the butt if the final 4 were to come down to those 4 I said were the most consistent before they were even seeded. That'd be ironic, but I really think that Preece, right now I'm going a lot with the momentum they're on. So again, Keselowski could run deep here. We've seen it as of late. Again, if he gets a victory in one of these, it's not just about the $1 million. That also locks him into the playoffs, which he needs. He is 31st I think he got up to like 28th in points. Again, that's still a factor here. This is just for fun and $1 million. Yes. If you have fun winning $1 million, I guess. But, the NASCAR championship is the focus.
I don't think anybody's going to win the $1 million at this point. I think it's just going to be.
The driver still has a shot at it. I'm saying, yeah.
They still have a shot. Well, we're 16 for round 2. Next week it'll be round 3, and we'll be down to 8 drivers. So we'll see how this all shakes out. let me just put up the bracket here again.
You got a clean one. Like I said, I got the secondary names written underneath my previous one, a kind of an overlay. You know,
Yes.
the ones they show is all clean. It's like, yeah, this person won. Yeah, like, yeah, that's not who you originally had on it.
Yeah,
Though.
let me give you the full page bracket here. Here's
There
the
we
full
go.
page bracket of what we're looking at for this second round at Chicagoland Speedway. The next round will be at Sonoma, which is going to be another road course. So that's going to be interesting, but it'll be an entirely different type of road course. So I think that makes it pretty interesting as well.
I still have a shot at. Ironically, we talked about SVG and Alex Bowman in the 2 Chicago street courses, first and last, last and first. I do have Elliott as one of my final 2, and that's still a hope. But I had Ryan Blaney beating him at Indianapolis, and Blaney was one of the first ones out. I don't know if he finished behind Hamlin or not, but
I think he finished dead last.
That's what I thought. So I was like, ironically, even if Chase were to get to this final 2, I'd have one that I had picked all the way and Blaney who went out right away.
So anyway, we hope everybody has fun with this. We're having a lot of fun with it. And we will check back with you next week for round 3 and give you our updates on how we fared. And if right now I'm 1 ahead of Jay. So
yeah, you keep tallying that. All right. You keep tallying that.
And we'll see how this works out for next week. And we'll look forward to having fun. We'll continue to have fun with it. How about that, Jay?
All I got to say is I have an original bracket filled out all the way that I can stand on. Chase Elliott was a pick of mine from the beginning, so I'll hold that over you. How about that?
Well, okay, well, we'll see what happens. You might get the overall win.
Right.
Do watch for more coming soon from Fan Pro Racing Radio. On the other side of the weekend, we are going to be here for previews, and Taz this week is helping me with the previews, and that is because we have some news to share with you. Sal had a medical issue over the early part of this week. It was Tuesday, and so he's in the hospital right now. And if you follow him on Facebook or on, Facebook in particular, he has given a few updates over there if you want to check on him and see how that's coming along. But he may be out for a few weeks. So I told him not to worry about it, that we would have it covered.
Most certainly. And our thoughts and prayers are definitely with him right now.
Absolutely. He seems to be doing fairly well. They're keeping him in there for observation and to make sure everything, there's not anything underlying, but we do want to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. So Taz will be with me for the previews for a while, and Jay for the reviews, and we'll cover each other as we always do.
You got that opposite. I'm on previews. He's on reviews.
Oh, did I say that backwards? I'm sorry. Yeah. Jay's on the previews. Taz is on the reviews. And then, of course, we have our Hot Topic Sound Off, which we'll be talking, I'm sure, about the in-season challenge there as well on Monday night, starting at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So Chris Crichton joins us for that. And boy, we've been having a lot of fun with our Hot Topic conversations. So we hope you'll tune in for that. Now, one of our viewers chimed in and said that SVG is going to win both the Xfinity and the Cup Series race this weekend.
Well, we got some informed viewers, I'll tell you that. I know I had thought about that. He definitely has that capability and opportunity this weekend. I know I heard an interview where he was talking about that, of making sure he had 2 of the rugby balls along this weekend. And he said that's not his department. His department is to drive the car. When he gets out in victory lane, somebody hands it to him. So He said that's on somebody else to make sure they're available if he does win. So he's not counting his chickens before they hatch, or bringing the hatch to victory lane, or the rugby balls to victory lane beforehand.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's something I definitely am tuning in for. Also, thank you everybody for tuning in and for commenting. We do appreciate those comments.
Absolutely. Appreciate that.
And we do appreciate you being here to hear what we have to say. Jay, I don't know if you noticed, but one of our videos last week got over 100 views.
Yep, I know that it's building. And again, I know this is our first season here on YouTube. It's been a lot of fun, and I say challenging, and I say that on behalf of Sharon as she's learning how to operate the YouTube studio. She was very adept with the Fan for Racing Blog Talk Radio. I know this one, she's playing around with a lot of things. The background you see, that's all on Sharon. So we'll give her a round of applause here.
Okay.
And she's leading in 6-5 over me in the no.
That could change next week. I made some risky choices
Right.
there. So we'll see what happens. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We do appreciate you. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the other side of the race weekend. Enjoy your 4th of July. Be safe and enjoy your time with family and friends.
There you go. Have fun, but be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, everybody.